Good morning. This next speech is called My Opium Overdose. Tiger Woods has been in the news lately about his prescription abuse and being pulled over by the police. I'm telling you a story that I believe happened in 1972. In our class, there was of 1973, there was a drug dealer many people didn't like. At our 40th reunion in 2013, he was not there because he passed away a few years earlier. I guess he was straight for a few years. I remember when he was 21 years old with a friend, they both did heroin, and one of our friends overdosed and died. Many people were really pissed off about that in our class. And many of us were surprised. We didn't know this guy had done heroin. It was in the 70s and he was trying to be a weekend warrior, I guess, but he ended up doing a drug that killed him. Anyway, it was Greendale High School. It was 1972. I went to a basketball game and I called this guy to pick me up. There was snow on the ground and it was close to 0 degrees outside. The high school was just a block down the street from my house and just over across it, so it wasn't far to go. Anyway, he picked me up and we drove around and smoked a couple of fast bowls of weed. It was cold outside and I didn't feel the effects right away, and he had to go somewhere else, so he dropped me off. But when the asshole dropped me off, he didn't tell me that there was opium mixed in with the pot. I rolled into the high school and I paid for my ticket, and all of a sudden I started to feel like I started to get real tired and pass out, and I went, I'll be back in a minute. I rolled outside and it was in the cold and snow and my body was shaking and I had to do everything that I could do to stay awake. I was really scared and I saw a lot of families coming in with their parents walking into the game. My body was shaking and I just had to do everything to stay awake. I was afraid I was going to pass out and die. I thought of my mother who had died of bone cancer in her pilgrimage before she died. I thought of my parents who knew someone who was dealing with substance abuse and how hurt they would be if I passed out and ended up in an ambulance, or even if I died. I thought of God and how ashamed I would be to die and hurt my family like that. I thought, what a loser to go out like that. It was not intentional, but I would have never been able to explain to them that was all an accident. After the game, my friends came out and rolled me over to the coffee house until midnight. My eyes were huge and bloodshot. The next day, I chewed out my friend for not telling me about the opium in the pot. It's a cardinal sin to give someone a drug and not tell them what is really in it. Now, many people were pissed off at this guy in our class for giving others drugs. Why? I always took responsibility for drinking or whatever. I didn't blame mommy or daddy or school or God, whatever. I think that's a cop-out for people to blame others for why they use drugs. I did it not to be bullied and to fit in and to hide my pain and my sexuality. I know that's part of why I did it. You know, in high school, kids, I am sure, many were talking about that incident at school. John, the kid with cerebral palsy, was really high at the game last night, was outside in the cold so he would not pass out. It was a small village and I knew some of the cops might have heard at times through their kids who went to my high school. Jerry Shell, my counselor, who later became our vice principal, I remember he asked me my freshman year about me smoking pot as a rumor. First I told him no, and then after a while I told him yes. I was honest, like I said but I told him he could ask questions only about me. And I would not talk about other people and friendships and what they did, because that was their own business, and I wasn't going to rat out my friends. This was supposed to be between me and him only, and he said it was. But at times, as I got older, I wondered, was it really? I think most of it was, but I wouldn't blame him if it really wasn't. My mother at times might have talked to him about how I was handling school and fitting in with other kids. Certain subjects were so easy, and others I could barely get by in. So I wouldn't blame Jerry Shell if I had to walk in his shoes, or if he ever did talk to my mother about certain things. I think his role was on certain levels, like I said, to make sure I was adapting to school and doing the best I can. At this time, I also talked to my doctor, Ray Weissman, and he agreed to me that weed was okay if it would help relax my body, but I should not overdo it. For me, weed used to be safer than drinking, and I had more control over my body. But then as I got older, weed made my body shut down more and hard to move, and I increased my extrasensory perception or sensitivity to other people, so much to where I couldn't turn out like too much sensitivity of others, so I had to put it down. I did smoke weed a couple times with other people before I moved from Wisconsin, people that I trusted and enjoyed being around. But basically, I didn't smoke that much after this incident until I moved to California. And then when I had to meet new kids again, it was different after knowing people for 6 years in regular school, and then having to start all over again with people that didn't know me, and I made some not always the best wise choices. But I don't feel guilty about my experiences, because they're life-growing experiences, and we should not feel guilty about where we are today. It's sad about Tiger Woods, but many people suffer daily, and they are not millionaires, and we don't hear about them daily. I like to think of myself on certain levels as a teacher, and maybe once in a while a video might help someone. Anyway, this is my latest offering to the cosmic world. Enjoy yourself and have a good day. Bye for now. Peace.